Look at the big stories that are making the headlines.
And to do that, we've been joined by Nick Ferrari and Anushka Asthana.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
Now then, Anushka, I was sitting in my dressing room this morning and I saw the breaking news from Baltimore, which is really quite shocking. It's this bridge that has collapsed, the Francis Scott Key Bridge. It was about 1:30 in the morning their time. I think that's about 5:30 our time. It's absolutely terrifying to look at the footage. What do we know?
Well, just to point out, that is a 1.6-mile-long bridge. That huge container ship that you just saw hit one of the pillars. It was Singapore flagged, called the Dali, and sort of completely shocking what happened. Now, it was 1:30 in the morning, so, you know, not thankful for those who were on it, but it wasn't very busy. There were 3 passenger cars, 20 construction workers, and just to give you a sense of it, of how it might feel, it was -1 degrees at that time when they fell in. Now, there has just been a press conference and they said it is a huge ongoing search and rescue on the surface and below the surface. They think that there are 7 individuals or more that they are still looking for.
Do we know how the accident happened? Do we know?
Just that ship hit it, but there's obviously going to have to be a huge look into the safety.
You're absolutely right. It appears there was smoke emanating from the vessel, so it looks as though it might have lost control or steering, such as that. Yeah. This is called, because we've done a lot of this, you'll understand this morning. So this is called a truss-style bridge. Okay. It's the 3rd largest that there is in the whole of the planet. This means it doesn't have that many supports. Now, worryingly, I think you're seeing a truss bridge now. Some of you will recall a terrible bridge collapse in Florida in 1980.
Yes.
OK, this bridge was built in 1977. After 1980, all bridges like that are meant to have, like, defender mechanisms. So if a ship is off course, it effectively pushes it away.
Right.
This clearly... So if, as and when they rebuild it, if they use the same style, bridges now have to have this effectively like a V, a defending mechanism. Clearly, that didn't have it, and that's why this tragedy has taken place.
I would imagine, though, as well, Nick, there'll be real concern because that's a busy stretch of water. There'll be a lot of ships that are going through that bit of water.
Well, you have to close that bit of water for a long time because you've got to haul it all out, and then you've got to, I presume they'll want to replace it, you've got to put a new one in. The most important thing, as Anushka says, it is still a rescue as opposed to recovery, although, as you say, it's mighty cold out there. Let's just hope that they can get lucky.
Yeah,
sure.
Terrible. OK, next point is it's been 4 years since Clap for Carers. I can't believe it's been 4 years. Where has that time gone? Today marks 4 years since people across the UK clapped, cheered and rang bells to thank NHS workers for their role during the COVID-19 pandemic. What's changed, really, Anushka?
I was talking to someone about this the other day, and it felt like it was almost like a fever dream or a nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, not obviously for those who lost people and for whom it's a very real nightmare still, but I almost can't believe that that just happened to us and that it went on. And although it was panicked at the time and decisions were being made in a hurry, we'll obviously look back and see what was right, what was wrong. I noticed this weekend, for example, Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, was saying people in care homes should have now a right to be able to see people in person because that was too much to take that away. But in terms of the NHS, don't you look back and think, isn't it a bit weird, really, how we clapped for... And a lot of NHS workers think this. You can clap for them, but they weren't giving them the money that they needed to...
So many of our viewers have got in touch. Tracy said, at the time, I genuinely believed it was a lovely thing to do to show our appreciation, but after realising how bad things were in hospitals, it wasn't enough. They deserve better pay for the things they did and continue to do. Rachel says, I personally think the NHS needed a pay rise, not clapping every night, Nick.
Isn't it incredible? I actually used to quite look forward to clapping on that night because at least you got to go out in the back garden
Sense
and you
of community.
I know, and you saw your neighbours to think that that was like the highlight of the week. But of course, there was a heck of a row about where the money should have gone and the rewards and the devotion and the aberration. And you know, I have to say, we are still in the middle of doctor strikes even as we speak, and this is 4 years on. So I think if you were part of the NHS or your husband or your wife was part or your loved one was part of the NHS, you might think that there's something else that they could be doing rather than clapping.
The ITV drama that still you can watch on ITVX, The Breathless. And one of the most extraordinary things about that drama, Anushka, I think, is watching the clapping initially. But by the time you get to the last part, as the doctors are going in and out, they're getting spat at, they're getting vitriol, they're getting accused of faking COVID. And it's that journey that they had to go through on the front line. And equally, if any of those people that were giving them abuse had collapsed at that point, they would have to go on... They're sort of, by the nature of their job, they have to go and look after that person and try and bring them back. I mean, that for me is one of the hardest things to deal with.
Such an amazing drama. And again, it's sort of... you almost can't believe that that's where we were and that that's what people went through. And it's why, actually, there's huge public support, isn't there, for NHS workers getting more money. The government would say lots of them have accepted the pay deal, but obviously, as Nick says, there's even a doctor's strike today as we speak. The other thing is that COVID just had such a massive impact on the NHS. It led to all the other waiting lists to go up, and we are nowhere near fixing that. So still, whenever you go out, as I do spend a lot of time, you know, on doorsteps trying to work out what people think of politicians, the thing that comes up again and again is, I can't get a GP appointment, I'm on a waiting list for this, or sometimes for other areas like dental treatment. People are feeling like it's just not got better yet.
No, absolutely. The impact's been incredible. We haven't even touched on education.
Breathtaking's the name of the drama, not breathless, but it is well worth the watch just to get a sense of what they all went through on that front line.
Yeah. Our next talking point, Mr. Motivator says people take weight criticism too personally. Have we gone a bit too soft?
The F word,
What
Nick.
do you think? Can't use it? Do use it? Don't use it?
I'm fat. Of course I am. I mean, there's no point. It's not because I was abused as a child or I have gene problems or whatever it might be, or I've got emotion. I don't exercise enough and I enjoy red wine, so I am fat, I'm overweight, I'm heavy. I don't care. And honestly, you can't... Well, you can try, but I don't think you can insult me, and I accept that that is my issue. Having said that, I probably should go down to the gym, but I don't get upset if anybody calls me. You should see the abuse I get on the radio and the emails going.
That's abuse.
Like being married again. That's just the start of it. So I have no problem with it.
But a lot of people do.
Yeah, I was going to say, not everybody is resilient.
As you looked at me, I thought I'd start. Yeah.
Yes, quite. Well, you are, yeah. No.
But isn't like the point Mr. Motivator's making, I think, from listening to it, is saying it's unhealthy. You know, if you are obese, for example, that's linked to a whole load of health problems. But the one thing I would say is it's not someone's fault always that they're fat. It's
of course
like
it is.
People have different...
Of course I should run up and down the hill. Then I wouldn't be fat.
As if, like, people have different metabolisms, they have different, like, chemicals that make them hungry or not hungry. You know, my weight bounces up and down, and some people I know find it very easy. Some people don't.
Well,
Nick, I'm on your side.
We've got Mr. Motivator. We got Mr. Motivator on the line. Lovely to see you, Mo, as ever. You've set the cat among the pigeons this morning with the use of the F word. What's your take?
My take is that it's great that we're talking about this because, you know, programs like this morning, we spend so much time on makeup and looking good on the outside, but everything starts from the inside. When it comes to me saying that people are lazy, they are, because if you spend all your time watching television, whether it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and you have not moved, that is lazy. If you go and buy your food, your convenience food, and you stick it in rather than preparing yourself, you are being lazy. Maybe called convenient, but you're being lazy. Now, if I lived in Jamaica, if you're fat, they call you fat. If you're tall, you're lanky. If you've got one tooth in your head, you're Mr. Gummington. No one takes objection from it. But here, when we start the conversation about anything to do with fat, and I've never fat-shamed anybody, right? At the end of the day, you need to take responsibility. Yeah. And if you love the way you feel and the way you look, who am I to tell you that you should be any different? But if you want to make a change, and Nick just said he would, right? Then Nick... I'm your man, Nick.
He's got a hat like that just for you, and you can work out together.
It's not just laziness, though. Like, loads of people try really hard to lose weight, you know, and find it more
if you
or
eat
less...
less and run up and down the hill, you'll lose weight.
No, well,
Derek,
you will lose weight at different rates.
Mr. Motivator, am I right or am I wrong?
You're totally right. But at the end, I didn't say lazy carte blanche because they're people with a medical condition. They're people who have a situation that they can't really help. Yeah. But most of us have a choice. And if your choice is that you want to be large or you want to remain large, that's totally up to you. But if you're having problems wiping and washing the areas that need washing and you don't have a medical condition, then you need to do something about it.
Nick, wiping and washing these...
He smells lovely, Mr. Motivator. He's fresh as a daisy.
I hope everyone's enjoying their late breakfast.
We should. Mr. Motivator, lovely to see you. Thank you for throwing that little firework in there. We do really important that we point out there will be people that have medical conditions.
There's Prader-Willi syndrome, for instance. That is an accepted medical condition.
No, obviously, if you... eat less and do more exercise, then that is good for you. But there is, like, I have friends who will have massive breakfast, eat well at lunch, eat well at dinner, and still be really slim. If I want to be slim, I need to really work hard at it.
You don't need to.
No, I do,
If you and I
that
jog
is the
to Brighton and
difference.
back, we'll lose weight. It's plain and simple.